It's Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. You know what that means? Wait. No barking, so I got to do it for the guy, right? Good evening, fight fans. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in the building. It's Wednesday, so it's time for head kicks and haymakers. The captain of the ship, our guy, Nick Barkins, is doing one of the coolest things ever right now. He's being a dad. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it to the show. But at the same time, man, it's me and Bobby. I mean, we get to kick it, and the bro's ready to go. How you feeling, Bobby?
Good. UFC Tampa delivered. So the UFC set us off with something for the end of the year. And now we're going to go right into boxing for the exact same thing. So definitely closing the year strong.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Just to think that the year is over, dog. Like we've had so many highs and lows in in mixed martial arts this past year, and we'll get to, of course, next week when we do our award show. They got a bunch of candidates right now, for knockout of the year, fight of the year, male fight of the year. I think we got a little bit of a handle on everybody. And the cool part is, I think we've covered so much of the sport that when we get together in the new year and we talk about, who we think is the fight of the year, I think we're gonna have a really good time when we do that next week or the week after, because of Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you how long the year has been, but how quickly it has gone. Because like you go back to some of those fights that were like booked in January, and then you're like, oh, that was this year. Mm-hmm. So that will definitely be a fun one. Can't wait.
Yeah, man. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, you know what time it is, man. So it's Headkicks and Haymakers. Like, share, subscribe. Big shouts out to my guy Nick Barkins doing the thing. I know he's probably watching on his phone, missing like halftime. Nobody watches halftime in like high school or school sports. But anyway, so we're gonna go backwards, man, and talk about UFC Fight Night, Tampa, Covington, Buckley. And it didn't really cease to amaze us, the fights that went on, especially on the main card, especially like co-main, main event, top three. And as I look here, bro, so let's just start right there where I thought it got really spicy. Manel Kape, Bruno Silva, right out the gate in my mind. The knockout, Manel, well, of course, the TKO by Manel Kape. Looking at that one, man, what was your thoughts of Bruno Silva, who we thought was pretty good, against Manel Kape's high octane pressure that whole fight?
Yeah, I mean, he was really styling on him in there, doing a little bit of showboating, talking to Dana, like in between rounds when the fight was still going on. So he did not seem to have any fear at all with his opponent there. So, he kind of did exactly what he needed to do, I guess you could say, after the Makayev loss. I think a little bit more was put on his shoulders because, Makayev got released from the promotion after that. So if he put on a stinker, people would, immediately start talking like, oh, well, what's going on with this guy? So it was, good to see him get that back there that emphatically. And then, he obviously wants to go straight to the top, which, flyweight is pretty thick up there. A lot of them are rematches. So that's probably why he feels entitled to it. I see some people, wanting to pair him off with Kai Car-France because of, his call out. My attitude with that is why kill off a contender for Pantoja, line them both up for him. I think you could do both of them. And, that the entire card, actually, like right when you started at the very beginning, there were a lot of finishes on that card. And there were definitely, some people that got dicked out of performance bonuses and stuff like that. Because the entire thing delivered, the UFC did the ceremonial weigh-ins because it's actually a live event. And, it's good to have some of those like old school fight nights. I mean, granted, the fights would have still been the same in the Apex, but it does offer, a little bit of, more what we're used to before the pandemic happened.
Yeah,
But
man, there's a little more mystique out there in Tampa. The fans in Tampa, they're rabid, they were loud. There was a lot of action going on. I don't know if it was me, but they panned around a lot, and I was like, man, in the Apex, this would have looked like a whole nother type of situation. So I'm kind of glad that they did. Looking at the stats, y'all know I like the numbers, man. Looking at the stats, man. So Manel Cape out here in the streets, giving 111 significant total strikes in all. Landed at least 66% of them. And this was a stand-up fight, ladies and gentlemen. No real takedowns, but this is what we kind of expected from Bruno Silva and Manel Cape. Somewhere in there, like you said, bro, I think you hit the nail on the head when you look at the rankings in flyweight. Yeah. So let's just say from 8, right? Alex Perez, Manel Cape, of course, Manel with his with his streak going on right now, he'll probably creep up a little bit. Kai France is a guy that I'm looking like, okay, high gas tank, a lot of pressure. Of course, the nickname "Don't Blink" basically tells you everything about Kai France, just in case you haven't gotten a chance to watch him. And then somehow, some way, one of those things that I'm like, I want to see, just because I want to see like good fights. Would you possibly jump the line, just like you said, because there's a lot of rematches in that division? Would you possibly jump the line with Manel Cape and say, okay, well, since you're talking big stuff, you did really good. What about maybe Amir Albazi or Brandon Moreno somewhere in that mix for a fight for Manel? Because I don't think I want to jump him straight to Roy Val or Phil Pantoja. Definitely not. But maybe one of those two stand-up guys at flyweight. Give us one more of those rock'em sock'em knockdown drag out fights. I think that'd be something Manel Cape would do well with.
yeah, I don't disagree, but at the same time, the part of the reason I want to just kind of put him straight at the top and give him a title shot is, I don't know how he'd fare in some of those matchups, especially, I would consider they'd probably be 5-round fights. They'd be like nine with those names, So I'm definitely with you, but flyweight is very stacked. Like I would go as far down. Like look at 12. Isn't that Charles Johnson? Like I mean, he's 4-0 this year. So I mean, anyone in that division is really that is ranked in that top 10 should definitely be considered a likely opponent and like one away. But if you look at that, like just pretty much how it's listed down there, all those guys could deliver. I mean, granted, Charles would probably need one more to kind of get going there, but he has taken multiple fights this year, had a lot of success, and has looked like he's kind of really reinvented himself off some of those losses we've seen. So that whole division is stacked. So it's a really good time to just be enjoying flyweight. I guess if they're going to end up booking him someone else, I would kind of lean with the Kai France fight, but that would only be assuming the UFC would not be willing to give Kai France to Pantoja, because I do think that is kind of the best fight to book at 125 right now.
I like it, and I dig it. Right, Kai France, straight to Pantoja, but just something for the mouth watering that we normally look at with flyweight. When these guys they go in there, we got a lot of striking, a lot of fast striking. I mean, I don't care how big these guys are. The majority of the time, we're looking for fights that oftentimes don't make it to the second or third round. And just like you said, if it's somebody up top, maybe it's a 5-round fight. And something like that, when I think about a 5-round fight, something exciting. If Kai France is off, maybe doing the Pantoja, I definitely throw in Brandon Moreno and let's see the fireworks, man. I mean, he's looked pretty good. Brandon Moreno sometimes so up and down. With the loss to Roy Vall, the loss to Pantoja, then a loss to Pantoja, and it seems like he lost to Pantoja a lot. But once again, that's the way the cookie crumbled for Moreno. But it seems like every time he's in the ring, there's a chance that he could win, and it's not a boring fight either. So once again, I'm thinking you put Manel Cape in there, you get Brandon Moreno in there. We're gonna see who's number two, and maybe shake things up a little bit in the flyweight division. But I can dig it, man. But then whoop, oh man, this was another one I thought was pretty good when we get to the co-main. And we go straight up, man. What's up with my guy? We got old school, been around a long time, Cub Swanson versus Wild Billy Quarantillo, man. Like I listen, I don't know if you know, but not of course, Bobby, you know. But when it comes to my MMA fandom, right? Cub Swanson was one of my guys real early on. And I'm talking about like back in the day, I'm thinking like one of the first one or two UFCs. I'd take anybody on with Cub Swanson. Okay. You could not beat me if I had Cub Swanson. So to see now that I'm an adult, I'm like 30 something, old school coach. He makes me feel like, you know what? I can go out there and take care of anything. If Cub Swanson's still out there taking care of business, I can do whatever I need to do too. So we look at the fight, of course, we got the whole thing actually favored Swanson. I mean, long story short, that TKO was something I think that he had been working on the entire fight. And it looked vintage, you know what I'm saying? It didn't look like he was old. It didn't look worn out. Sometimes, we get these older fighters in there. They look rusty. They look scared or timid. None of that at all for Cub Swanson this past weekend, bro. What was your thoughts on that?
I mean, just vintage performance from him overall. He looked comfortable completely, didn't seem too worried about taking any damage or anything. And I mean, you're not going to get a better walk-off moment to end your career there. I don't really have an issue with him like not putting down the gloves and stuff. He seemed pretty unsure of whether or not he was going to retire. I don't know if someone in the chat might know better than me. I know he had an interview, so he might have clarified whether or not he was going to be hanging him up or not. But if that is the last one, hell of a career. He absolutely did not look like the older fighter for sure. Like he looked like the younger guy. So I think Dana kind of summed it up best where, if this is it, thank you very much. If you want one more, you looked absolutely great. So we got one more for you. I mean, I don't think anyone would deny wanting to see another fight for him there. But, at the same time, I am a big fan of these guys kind of going out on top and in that moment. But, at the same time, with the amount of success he had, I don't blame him at all for thinking he's got one more in him. But, Billy hung in there and still did his best to kind of make it a dogfight. But, Cub just really seemed to have him figured out, didn't have too much fear of his power, and eventually just put him down.
Yeah, man, I'm with you 100% on that one. As we see here, 114 total strikes for Cub Swanson with 66% of the landing, 108 for our guy Billy right here. And then, of course, Billy had the takedowns. Billy was known for that. And somehow, some way, Cub worked his way in and around him. And just like I said earlier, man, it's vintage Cub Swanson. The way that what you just said, if I'm not wrong, you said like he didn't look like the older fighter, and I completely agree with that one. It's been a while, but for me to see him go out like that, that's like playing in your last NBA game or what you think is your last NBA game, and you score like 40, and you look at your hand and you go, I still got it. You know what I'm saying? I could do it. I could come back. I could do another one. Like that type of performance is going to make, I think, especially in the MMA, I think that would make any man hesitant to, call it quits. Because Cub Swanson's had a storied career, started way, way back in the day, technically. And when you think about it, when we look at these numbers, bro, freaking 44 fights. Who has 44 fights these days? You know what I mean? And to say 44 and he's majority won them, you know what I'm saying? 30 of 30 and 14. And then on the back end of the career, you got 14 knockouts and 4 by submission. Somewhere in your mind, I think the bell is still ringing. Like I could do this. You know what I mean? So if we were to give Cub one more fight in the featherweight division, which is we was just looking at flyweight. Featherweight's almost no different. For real. And right now, Cub is not ranked. So let's just take a look at what I would consider to be the bottom half of the division, right? So let's say let's put that up. Wow. All right. So let's say we're looking at the bottom half of the flyweight division, and we are going to say maybe on the bottom. You got Aljo right here, but we know he doesn't know what he wants to do in his life right now. Calvin Cater,
Danny Ige.
Old school fight. Dan Ige, Cub Swanson, losers got to put him down, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ige's got quite a bit more time in him. I just love, like, I'd have no issue, like, giving him someone that isn't ranked too.
Right.
Preferably, I just don't want to, go something too high where you're looking at it like, oh, that might be a rough fight. But, at the same time, he's a gamer. I don't think he'd have it any other way. So, to me, the more important question is just if he wants to have one more or not. And because, we're tuning in either way for a matchup with him.
Yeah, most definitely, man. You're getting everything out of a guy like Cub Swanson, especially on the back end of his career. He's like, yo, I got daughters to raise, I got this, I got that. Like, and then still on the back end, hit a real good sea walk. Okay, yeah, which one time for the crip walk at the end of the fight. But you know what I'm saying? I love the idea of putting him with somebody, maybe just to push him just a little bit, but not too much. Just like you said, you don't want to get him rolled out in this last fight, but you do want to show him some respect and give him some competition. So I'm definitely with that one. Somehow, some way, man. I keep thinking of like really good fights with Cub Swanson ever since the beginning, way back in the day when UFC was oftentimes on like FX, like what is it, before or after? I think it was after the Man Show. That is when I remember Cub Swanson, and so kudos to him and kudos to his team for keeping him in great shape and giving him the opportunity to go out there and rock the bells pretty much one more time and keep us in suspense because we want to know whether he's putting him down or not. But I definitely want to see him at least one more time for sure if he's going to.
What about Jim Miller? Is he in that weight class?
Old man Jim?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's in that weight class or not, but it's just stylistically, I think they both match up really well too. But
there might be an opportunity to look for. Hold on, let's see. Where is old man Jim Miller? Right quick. Is he Jim Miller's at lightweight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to have come down for the fight or anything, but I mean that's just kind of the matchup and stuff. I'm more kind of thinking than bringing him in with some young prospect that you're having him co-headline the an Apex or something. But I think Dana would just do the standard. If you want one more kid, let us know and we'll take care of you. And
Right.
for some reason, I got faith that they actually will in this scenario. Dana seems to be quite a fan of Cub.
Yeah, man. I think when you're a company guy, you know what I mean, like Cub Swanson, you've been around the block. like literally and figuratively a couple times, especially for Dana. When times were probably way harder, for the UFC, you got to give him some respect. So, that definitely gets given to Cub Swanson because I'm thinking, hold on, wait, let me see, yeah, so yeah, basically whole career right there in the UFC with 15 wins and 10 of the losses, and somehow, some way, he's been up and down. I mean, before now, he had a split decision loss to Andre Phil. And somehow, some way that got fight of the night honors. This one right here got fight of the night as well. So big shout out to that bonus that he got. Hakeem Dawodu, I remember that one, unanimous decision. So he's been fluctuating a little bit, but he's been in the ring twice in 2024 with one loss and one win. Both of them recognized as fight of the night. I think this is basically a good way to say, hey, if you want to ride out with your career right now, then Cub Swanson can do it, and nobody will be upset. We've seen a lot of Cub Swanson, a lot of good fights, and huge fan base out there in Cali. You know how that goes, but it will it turn into one more fight? I think we have to wait and see what Uncle Dana has up his sleeve.
I'm glad that it was on the co-main event of the last card of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of eyes and attention it got, it's a good moment to kind of take in to the new year, and makes it, a lot less forgettable and stuff, because, going so many months back, you see so many fights and stuff. So I think the placement of that fight was spot on by the UFC.
Definitely, man. I mean, just like you said, when it's coming to the end of the year, we as UFC fans are running out of things to watch. And I was hoping that this was going to be a pretty good card. And although the names towards the bottom might not have been the most recognizable, when we talked about it last week and I saw it was Cub on there, I knew that was going to be a good one, most definitely. So big shouts out to Cub Swanson and his team on that one. And then, my guy, we can get to the main event of the evening. And man, let me tell y'all something. This one started, I think, before they got to the ring, bro, and I'm pretty sure Bobby can agree with me. The main event, Joaquin Buckley, Kobe Covington, and it ends in a doctor's stoppage in the third round. Let me tell you something, man. I don't know if y'all know, but Joaquin Buckley right now in this division making so much noise, and I think that it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? We get some guys that, hey, they get brought up, they come down, they come up, they get out there and they make a fool of themselves. And to a degree, Kobe Covington is almost one of those guys where you put the roadblock dead in front of somebody on the rise, like Joaquin Buckley, and in almost in some way, shape, or form, you expect for something to happen. I think that this was a great opportunity for Joaquin Buckley to put his skill set on display. He wrestled, he blocked, he got some good sprawls out there. He had great position the majority of the time, and we don't even need to talk about his striking. The man looks like he could punch through a brick wall. And then unfortunately, Kobe Covington, took the worst of it. And in my mind, this was a wake up call for Kobe, I think. And we'll get a little deeper into it. So Bobby, man, looking at our main event, Joaquin Buckley, Kobe Covington, for all the marbles, bro. What was your thoughts on that?
I mean, shout out to Buckley. He just continues to impress. The fight when it started, he was, taking center, putting pressure on Kobe. Didn't seem too worried about the takedown. Was hitting him early. That cut happened early in the fight. Actually, when Kobe went for a takedown, is kind of when that whole happened. Buckley hit him there. So, Buckley was putting it on him early. I did not have one round for Kobe. I understand the second round, he got the position there, but he really just seemed to be kind of stalling it out and surviving. And I think the big key thing in that too, when Kobe did get him down in the second, is Buckley didn't just lay there and wait for time to expire. He ended up getting back up. And when he did that, I think Kobe realized, oh, this is going to be an even longer night than I thought it was going to be. In between rounds, it was cool seeing Chael in Kobe's corner and stuff like that. But, it really did not seem like there was anything like that was going to be coming on in the later rounds. Granted, he did in the third round, get another top position, but he really seemed exhausted and beat up. And by the time they separated, they stepped in because, the cut was apparently too bad in Florida. Now, I'm not really trying to get too much into whether or not it should have been stopped or not, because it is what it is, I think it definitely could have went on longer, and I do agree with Dana's assessment. If it was in Vegas, it probably would have continued, especially for Buckley, because that's the part that really sucks, is he was putting him on the entire fight, and then realistically, the doctor stops it, probably stops him from getting a performance bonus or anything like that. And, that type of stuff definitely affects the fight. Now, all that being said, Kobe did look like Wilson from Castaway. He kept, wiping the blood off his face and stuff. So he clearly could not see. Kobe did not seem to have a problem at all that the fight was stopped. He's like, okay, well, at least, I still got my eye. So granted, it's probably one of the better things for Kobe, because he can kind of save face with his fan base and stuff, saying, well, of course, they screwed me because I was in my hometown and the doctor just wanted to fuck me. So, if you want to believe that, more power to you. I definitely think Kobe does have more fights in him. I will say, in the beating that Kobe took, I find Joaquin Buckley's performance miles more impressive than Leon Edwards' performance against Kobe there. I mean, I don't know if, it was just trying to maintain the distance, but Buckley absolutely put it on Kobe a lot more than Leon did there. I mean, granted, that has a lot more to do with styles and stuff. Buckley's going to, move forward and engage a lot more. But I was absolutely impressed with Buckley, especially for him to cap off, 4-0. It's kind of amazing. There are two other fighters that have done that this year. But I think you'd be selling him short to not have him in the Fighter of the Year conversation. Not necessarily saying that he would win it, but he should absolutely be one of those names that is discussed, when you're, going through that list of names. Because, I think it's going to be hard to compare anyone's 2024 to his as far as success and activity.
Bro, you made a hell of a point right there. To me, and I'm looking right now. So Joaquin Buckley, 2024, and the only person I can think that you can compare this 2024 to right now, right? Would have to be Poetan, dog. Because look at the okay. So let's look at the fights and let's look at what happened. Okay, so we got ground and pound of Vincent Luque, right?
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Second round. Unanimous decision. Ruzabev, right? Wonder Boy, right hook, knock him out in the third round. And we got a performance of the night bonus. Of course, the Ian Gary did not take place, but instead we got Colby Covington, Dr. Stoppage. Those 1, 2, 3, 4 fights, 4 performances, March, May, October, December. I really don't know anyone else besides Poetan who has come in and pretty much ragdolled the competition on a consecutive basis. And I say this because I think the jury was out. You know what I mean? When he was what was his light? What not? He's at lightweight now, right? Uh,
No,
yeah,
he's at 170. He
right,
was, he took those L's at 185, and since
right.
he's gone to 170, it's just been, a new fighter.
Yeah, exactly. So when you come, and this is what I'm saying, with him being a big 170, when the water is put back into him, like he's dominating. And this is what I was thinking the entire time. Kobe looked smaller than when he fought Leon. It was that just a me thing? He looked more gaunt than when he fought Leon. Granted, he didn't get a chance to fully prepare for this, but Kobe Covington is supposed to be one of those guys whose gas tank, whose motor is always what propels him in these fights. And somehow, some way, it didn't really do the trick for him this time. I was really impressed, just like you said, bro. The the way that he went about taking it to Kobe, I think was Kobe-esque. You know what I'm saying? Like he did what I would think that Kobe Covington would do to a lesser skilled fighter with the striking. And like you said, the one time Kobe did get position, he got enough of the leverage to get out. And that's not really what happens when someone fights Kobe Covington. Kobe gets him on the ground. He's known for pummeling and beating guys into the middle of the earth any way he can, and of course because of his wrestling prowess. But Joaquin Buckley, man, really went out there and did his thing. I'm not surprised if in 2025 we get more Joaquin Buckley somewhere up the middle of the ranks. And he had some pretty cool call outs. And the way that of course he deduced who he would fight, he let the crowd noise say who he would want to fight or whatever. And we landed on Usman. So Kamaru Usman was who he said, based on the fan cheering, was who he wanted to call out officially. And then come to find out, I'm watching, social media, Instagram videos. As soon as his hand was raised, guess who walks out? Leaves the stadium. Kamaru Usman. Didn't even want to see what was going to happen, or rather, he knew that he knew there's only one way for that young man to go. And I think that was, I'm not going to say it was a sign of things to come. I think Kamaru knew that, hey, look, if he beats Kobe like this, there's only one more thing. There's only one more person he can call. He's not going to call out Shavkat, of course not. Not going to call out Leon. Jack maybe, but what makes more sense to me is Kamaru Usman. So, Bobby, man, 2025. You think we getting Buckley Usman?
I hope we do. You know, Usman definitely has a lot of options, almost as much as Buckley, because, a lot of different people have been calling him out and stuff.
Right.
Easily, I think Buckley is one away from a title shot. If he wins his next fight, I don't know how he does not fight for the belt next. And, we were just talking about how 125 is so lined up nice. It is so great to see welterweight, this healthy at the top. I mean, just when you go to that 1 through 6, I mean, that right there, it's any of those fighters are interchangeable. Just give them to me. So, I think Buckley did a pretty good job with his call out. A complete switch up from the McGregor thing. At first, I wasn't sure where he was going with it. And
Right.
I actually ended up thinking it worked out, especially because I got the fight. The fight that got the most pop was the one I kind of want to see. All that being said, I would be so up for them to give me the Ian Gary Buckley match.
Ooh.
Because when that got made, I was just like, what a great way to end the year. And obviously there was the switch up and it kind of all worked out for the better. But I really want to get that one. The thing that I found kind of telling in that whole post call out thing is Buckley did not name Gary. And I wonder if this goes back to, there's that video that circled around a year ago before this matchup was booked, when Buckley pretty much was asking Gary for a fight, and Gary was no-selling him, saying you're too low in the rankings. I do wonder if Buckley is saying, even though we can all agree that Ian Gary's stock is very high, I do wonder if he's saying, hey, why do I need to fight you? I can just fight someone else. But at the same time, I think if that got offered to him, he would still take it, since he's already took it before. So I think one of those two is the one, either Usman or Gary. And hopefully we get that. I'd like to see it in March. He definitely has been active. So, it would be nice to see him get a little bit of time. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me at all if we end up seeing this in February or something. So, yeah, absolutely. Give me more Buckley. I will definitely be a fan. And, shout out to him for getting the finish. So I got 2 points in the fantasy MMA league.
Hey, shout out to you, bro. Hey, so like, I am completely in agreement with you on that one. You kind of stole my thunder there. I was going to talk about Ian Gary, and although taking the loss to Shavkat, there are some fights that even when you lose, you're still kind of winning. You're held out there against somebody who's one of the scariest fighters in the division. So you could be rewarded by fighting Joaquin Buckley in 2025. Or, hey, look, Kamaru's got to fight somebody when he comes back. And to me, I don't want to say Kamaru may need a tune-up. Do you think that's wrong? You know what I'm saying? Because it's been such a layoff. I don't want to say Kamaru needs a tune-up before he fights Buckley. Or
I don't think he does, because look how he did coming off the couch to fight Chimaev.
Right. Okay. You make a good point with that one. So maybe he doesn't need a tune-up. Maybe he goes straight into fighting Buckley, and that will get done. But an exciting fight between two guys up and coming who are possibly going to be, at the top of the rankings for the next 2-3 years. Interchanging for that 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5 position. Definitely would be Buckley and Ian Gary. And just like you said, because it didn't get made or it got switched up for Ian Gary to get the opportunity to fight Shavkat, I definitely think that Uncle Dana's got to revisit it. And yeah, he's fought 4 times already this year in 2024. You said March, give him a springtime fight, March, April. You know what I'm saying, though, and right at the turn of Q2, maybe throw him in there and let's see what happens. Give Kamaru some time to work those knees out, and give Ian Gary some time to heal his wounds as well, and we'll see what comes up. Now, because this was such a high-profile matchup, we gotta say it. We gotta talk about it. What do you think? Excuse me. What do you think is going to be the outcome for Colby now that we've seen, and let me preface this. Before I go to Colby Covington is one of those real polarizing figures in MMA. And when I say polarizing, you either love him all the way completely and you're a fan of his style or whatever, or you hate him, you think he got put up too fast. You only think they only got put in these main events because of his shtick, his character, his persona that he put on, real outlandish and whatever, real MAGA hat, new. And when I say this, I don't mean like disrespectful, but like new age Republican, like I'm better than you, that's why I'm here type. There's no in between with Colby Covington fans. When I think of what could come next, I have an opinion about it, and I'm gonna definitely give it to you. But for Colby, bro, we've seen him take some really tough losses recently, and I don't think he's taken either of them really well. I don't think he's bounced back. What do you think is a possibility next for Colby in his MMA career?
he probably got bumped down to 9. So I would say, fighting someone in the top 10, the seal of the top 10. I could, I think like a Gilbert Burns fight would be interesting. Or, he's always talking about Jeff Neal being a waiter. So why not do that fight? I think that's a great fight. The Kobe I did see, he definitely looked, I don't want to say slow, but he wasn't reacting, that quickly in the beginning. And I do wonder if that does come down to the activity and stuff like that. But, I definitely think, if anything, it did show you could at least, have a main event fight nights and stuff. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be cracking pay-per-views. Regarding his stick, it used to be a lot more controversial 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've now kind of seen like, the UFC, when it comes to being pro-Trump, emphatically has Kobe beat. So it's not as shocking as kind of it used to be. Like when he, comes in and does the press conference and you're left like with these shocking, like jaw-dropping moments. I didn't get too much of that. I know he said some choice things that some people didn't agree with, but, I do wonder how many more times is he going to keep rolling with the persona? Because, it seems like he's always done it. And when he lost the first Usman fight, that's when I questioned. It was like, I wonder how he's going to take this loss and react to it. And then I realized real quickly, oh, he ain't dropping the persona. I'll never know. So, it like after he's done, we might kind of know the truth to some of these, but you always got to take a lot of it with a grain of salt. So it's really hard to gauge him. But I think if he was more active, he would have more success. It's kind of hard to get into a rhythm, especially when you're fighting another fighter that has 3 wins that year. That's no easy task.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that one, bro. I'm gonna looking at a couple things. So of course, he's and I'm not knocking it because maybe it's a preservation thing for Kobe, but let's just say he fights once a year. Once a year, Kobe Covington comes out of the cave, puts on a MAGA hat, and tells everybody, "I'm better than you just because I get a chance to speak with, former and now new next president, Donald Trump. I got big MAGA energy. The dragon spirit is in me. All that kind of stuff he's been saying. Because, here we go. What, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 23. And we go back and forth and back and forth. And the only person he hasn't really, we know who's going to win, who's won that one, is Kamaru Usman. You know what I'm saying? He got a good unanimous decision against Jorge Masvidal, who has no clue how to necessarily stop an Olympic-style All-American wrestler. That was just a pummeling from beginning to end. Then, of course, we got to see Leon and now Joaquin. Somewhere in here, I'm thinking, look, he's done all that he can or he could. And I am not upset about it. You know what I'm saying? His stick, his person. Where is the thing that he does next? And I'm going to tell y'all this, folks. I'm going to tell you this, okay? When I saw him come out with the IMD Real American Music with my guy and yours, okay, Terry Hulk Hogan walking right beside him with Chael Sonnen on the other side with the big, thick, Italian mob managerial glasses. I got a vision, bro. I got a vision. And my vision should have been, I wish I could have called Triple H and told him what I was thinking exactly at that moment. But I am seeing that transition that Kobe Covington could make to a full-time WWE star, a full-time WWE heel. He already has the persona lined up. All he has to do is learn how to take a bump. And when I say take a bump, I'm not talking about off a dollar bill. I'm talking about on the mat. If he can work out taking a bump on the mat in the wrestling in the squared circle, if he can figure out how to get a finishing move, and it makes me think of a couple guys who transitioned into WWE. You know what I mean? But Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist who wrestled with a broken neck in the Olympics, went and made his bones in the WWE and has never regretted it. You know what I mean? Kent Shamrock went from the UFC ring or the UFC octagon and went to the WWE. He regretted it because he made some poor decisions when it came to like managing money and not being drunk and high and hanging with girls and stuff like that. But that's a whole other story. We won't get into his personal thing. But I think Colby Covington and Chael Sonnen as his manager go to the WWE, turn full heel, tell everybody I'm better than you, and he comes out there and puts on, basic wrestling exhibitions, bro, and makes a ton of money, does a WrestleMania, and rides off into the sunset. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think he can do what he did to Jorge Masvidal to someone else right now. I'm not going to say that I believe that. I'm not going to sit here that he think he could do what he did to Tyron Woodley. Because when you think about those timelines, bro, that's 2 and 4 years ago. And Bobby said it earlier, man, that inactivity when it comes to that top rank, somebody who's been fighting 3 and 4 and 5 times and is warm and ready to go, I think that really takes him out of the rankings. But can he make money doing what he's doing right now in the WWE, working for Triple H? I think the sky would be the limit for him, to be honest, man.
I mean, I think he's always been trying to, set that up for the future. I would just kind of go back to, is he still going to have that same amount of heat when he's ready to make that move, But I couldn't rule it out. You made that Masvidal fight. That was the last fight where we saw,
dominant.
I guess you would say vintage like Kobe, So I do think he did lose to the champion and a dude that was on a 3-fight win streak. But I definitely think his title shot days are long and done, But at the same time, I do think he could probably hang around and still get a win in this division. So, I would say we'd probably be maybe 2 fights away from him, because at a certain point you think, why is he going to keep taking the L's? But I think if he gets one more back, he would easily try to keep going for a couple more years. But when you see, WWE getting close with Netflix and everything, it does make all the sense in the world. I just do wonder, wrestling-wise, if he just isn't more AEW than WWE.
Man, listen, it's AEW. Aha. Yeah, let's go to the sister company. Let's go to the smaller company and make them cut me a check. And when I say a check, a big old check at that. I'm completely with you on that one, bro. And then look, man, who's gonna cut a better promo than Chael Sonnen and Colby Covington? Who in the back, like they do in the locker room, and then they ask them some questions, and Chael Sonnen goes, "You know what? Shut up, you're stupid, you're dumb. Get out of here." I think it'd be fire, man. So Triple H, bro, hit me up. Holler at us on Headkicks and Haymakers. Nick Barkins will co-sign all of these comments, I promise you. So that was UFC Tampa, man. I think that was a really good way to close out the year. Even though it wasn't like a big mainline pay-per-view, we got some really solid fights out of that one. So and then of course we got Dana White, got everybody salivating over what could be in the works for 2025. What he said, man, 100% we're going to get John Jones and my guy Nick's favorite fighter. 100% we getting Tom Aspinall, John Jones. I'm excited about that one. And then somewhere in there, of course, he's smart. He's Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. He was known for being the best promoter in the world, you know, to show you sick tigers and frail elephants. You know what I'm saying? That was right then right at the end. What does Dana do? Oh, I got something big. I got something huge in the works that you'll never ever believe is happening, and it just came together today. I think that I'm not saying it's not real. I definitely think that some way, shape, or form, that's one of those moments where, yeah, Dana, no matter what it is, it could be nothing. But Dana White already sold us on 2025 with that type of announcement, man. What you thinking?
I have no problem saying it's not real. It like when I heard that, it immediately made me think of how he gassed up the UFC 300 main event, acting like it was going to be like an insane thing we couldn't even contemplate. And then the spear, you know, obviously I enjoyed both of those, and they, you know, I would rank them pretty highly, but you know, he's kind of made it this thing where, you know, he says something and then he feels like he has to follow up. And then when we finally get it, it doesn't, you know, turn into anything. Like I was laughing when, you know, people saw like Connor talking about like fighting in India, and they're like, oh, this is what Dana's doing. And I'm like, nah, I think it's just, you know, that typical noise. But, you know, I do hope he was sincere about the 100% Tom Aspinall thing. I'd be lying to you if I thought that meant anything. He said a lot of things. So I'm not trying to be negative. I hope he's telling the truth. But the man has fooled me too many times.
I mean, you know, I play a lot of Red Dead Redemption, and sometimes you run into that snake oil salesman, and then you know, you take the snake oil and you wake up and the horse is like 40 feet away from you, and you're in Montana, or you was in Saint Denis or something like that. I don't know. Shout out to anybody who plays Red Dead Redemption, because I definitely do. But I am thinking that they are closer to where we should be as far as Tom Aspinall and John Jones are concerned. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, though. It's so much of a headline that you gotta save it for International Fight Week. You gotta save it for something in the second or third quarter, and maybe hell, it might even be freaking October, November before we see it, because it's such a big main event. You gotta build up to that. You know what I'm saying? Those are such a big names. You gotta build up to it. Whatever else he's talking about, I don't know, dog. You know, with all these speculations, a lot of guys have been saying, you know, the other two leagues have started in the past, I think, month, and Dana definitely would like to go. Yeah, I don't even know about him. I didn't even pay no attention. I didn't even know who's on the roster. I think that's a bunch of bull. Dana White, as a professional, as a perfectionist, he would not be in the position that he's in right now if he was not aware of other fighting promotions. You know, not just the PFL, not just Bellator, but I think it's GFL just got started over the weekend. They got like a bunch of names, and then of course the what's the other promotion? I can't think of it right now, but they're having a lot of their fighters go. We've been inactive. We haven't fought in 4 months. We haven't fought here. We haven't fought there. Get us out of these contracts. So maybe he's going to bring another name, you know, just like we saw Sakura come over here just to give a little competition. Maybe he's bringing another big name from a lesser promotion in to give somebody some comp. So 2025, I'm excited to hear about it. And then don't forget, next week, guys, not next week, excuse me, the following week in the new year, Nick Botkins will be back, and we're going to do our recap for 2025, fight of the year, you know, fight of the year, knockout of the year, women's fighter of the year, all of that good stuff. We're going to go over everything. Of course, you know, me and Bobby will be here for that one. And we're getting to the top of the hour, so make sure you like and share and subscribe. Headkicks and Haymakers. One more time for my guy Bobby Blunts, man. Hey, Bobby, you know what else we got going on this weekend, bro? Little boxing, man. Okay, so everybody should know USYK and Tyson Fury. Hold on, wait, I got to put a little spin on it. We got Usyk and Tyson Fury 2 Saturday in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. In Riyadh, Saudi Arabia? I think it's in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
It's definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, right? So once again, somehow, some way, Turkey Al Sheikh has done it again. Queensberry Promotions, Frank Warren, K2, Gold Star. The list goes on and on. But Riyadh season has found a way to make us want to stay in the workings of a boxing match, and of course, they got reignited. Now I'm gonna tell y'all this: when you get some time after the show, and I wish I could show it on here right now, but we'll probably get cut out of YouTube. Go look at the Fury Usyk 2 promo video. It looks like a 5 minute trailer for a movie. And I think it's one of the dope concepts, one of the dopest concepts for a boxing match ever. Bobby, I want you to check it out too. We'll talk about it next time. But yeah, that is it. That just shows you that they spared no expense going into this next fight. As big as it was before, I think it'll be just about 2 times bigger. The undercard is actually pretty sweet. When I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at a couple things. My guy, Ish Davis, shout out to him, 13-1. Cyril Bukachik, that's another one. That's another one of Usyk's countrymen. Bukachik actually has the upper hand in this one. Moses Autuma and Dempsey McKeon. This is another good one. Dempsey McKeon, one of those guys where you gotta keep your eyes on his hands because man, they're quick, they're fast, and he moves around. But then of course, main card, the once again we get a chance to see the Gypsy King, as he's calling himself once again, and Alexander Usyk. I've seen a lot of the interviews. To be real with you, this version of Tyson Fury is scary to me. Um, this one where he's not laughing, it ain't no jokes. He's not saying he's going to knock him out. He's not saying he's going to, beat him in 3 rounds. He's not doing any of that song and dance that I think he did with the last 2 fights, with of course Francis Ngannou, and then here with Usyk before. He's not doing any of that. He said in order to stay in beast mode, he has not seen his wife and talked to his kids for 3 months. What type of savagery is that? Okay, my wife would be beating down my door. Okay, right now, if I didn't talk to her for about 2 hours, much less 3 months. But he said he is in the savage mode right now. He did not want any distractions. He didn't want to be a husband. He didn't want to be a promoter. He didn't want to do anything except for box this time. And he said he's going to end Alexander Usyk's career. He's going to make him feel all 37 of those years. He's going to make sure he understands he's not fighting who he fought before, that he's fighting the Gypsy King. And on the opposite end, the even keel, the cool, the calm, the collected, almost nonchalant to a fault, Alexander Usyk. Like, yeah, we're fighting, and we're going to fight well, my friend. I kind of identify with that, but I want to see the thing. We as MMA fans, as boxing fans, we want to see the thing that makes fights interesting, which a lot of times involves some type of a battle rage, a bit of anger, sometimes some despair. And I think that this one is one in which Tyson Fury is showing all of that because, of course, he's so desperate. He doesn't want to lose twice, which he's never done to an opponent. And at the same time, this will also possibly set up for a trilogy fight as well. Bobby, man, we got a chance to talk about the last one, and I think me and you were pretty much locked in on Twitter when it was happening. What are you thinking about this? With no MMA to watch, what do you think about this rematch of Usyk and Fury on Saturday?
I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time. Uh, Fury was kind of dancing around in the beginning of like the first round of the last fight. So him saying that he's going to be a lot more locked in and showboating is interesting. The success that Usyk had early definitely seemed to be pushing him up against the ropes, up into his corner. He was hitting him a lot with the body shots early and just kind of, working and jabbing at the body. The uppercut was definitely there for Fury. When after that round 4, that's when, Fury seemed to be a little bit more locked in and started styling on his own and really trading. At pretty much, I know in the 9th round, that's when Usyk had the most success. And, a lot of people wonder maybe Fury would have been better, taking a standing 8 count there, because he really took some shots at the end of that round. And then after that round, they definitely seemed a little bit tired and doing a little bit less and stuff. So I'm very interested to see how they both make adjustments, because both of them made adjustments in the last fight last time. So, I mean, this is literally the best versus the best. And it's amazing that it came around this quickly again. And, I cannot wait to watch it. And I know there are other matchups you can do for the others. I would absolutely take a trilogy. But, at the same time, if you're Usyk and you win on Saturday, what do you have to accomplish after this, So I'm just going to, kind of soak in the moment and enjoy it for what it is at the time, because who knows if we ever get anything like this again. And, I'll definitely be seated for that.
Bro, you hit the nail on the head with it, man. If you're Alexander Usyk and you pull off this W, beating the Gypsy King not once but twice, which is somewhat of an unheard feat when it comes to Tyson Fury, who has been in dog fights. He's been in the kennel with guys. He's got and for him to be such a larger man, we've gotten to see him use so much agility that is uncommon for someone of his size. But in that last one, I think you were exactly right. I remember it like it was yesterday. The first 3 or 4 rounds, it looked as though he didn't believe in Alexander Usyk, especially coming up to heavyweight out of cruiser. But in cruiserweight, he was taking guys clean out. You know what I'm saying? And now I think that after feeling it and seeing it in person, Tyson Fury says, I can't play with this guy. I'm not. No. You thought I was ready to defend myself against Deontay Wilder. I am ready to murder this man this coming weekend. And when I say murder, I don't mean it in a negative sense. We don't want any death, no. But in the ring, where it can be quantified through judging, even I think he wants to murder him that way. For me, dog, I know that both fighters are aware of the clauses which involve them being knocked out in this fight or in the last fight. So I think right around 9-10, they were like, all right, if we make it, it goes extra 2.5. Just we almost there. You know what I mean? So they both kind of straightened up. But in this one right here, I think all bets are off. Tyson Fury has to dominate this fight in order to preserve some type of legacy of him being one of the best heavyweight boxers in a long time. Because of the thing is, if he loses, this is another rocky road to heavyweight matrimony of fights. You know what I mean? Because Anthony Joshua lost, Deontay Wilder lost, Tyson Fury lost, Anthony Dubois won. Somewhere in these 4 fighters, we were supposed to get at least 2 fights, at least 2, maybe even 3. Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Dubois. It was supposed to happen. If Usyk messes up the apple cart, so to speak, for 2025 and 2026 for the heavyweight division, we have a lot of uncharted territory that we haven't necessarily been in for maybe 3 or 4 years. Because, Bobby, it was at least twice a year you can expect Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua to take over the boxing world. If this happens and somehow we do not get a win from Tyson Fury, I don't know, man. We're gonna have to literally wipe the slate clean. Erase everything off the chalkboard. You know what I'm saying, for 2025 in the heavyweight division. But I'm excited to see it. I can't wait. I got my popcorn ready, my chicken wings. I'm going to grab some beer over the weekend. And I'm going to kick back, man. There's no UFC. So it's all boxing Saturday afternoon in Riyadh season. And, of course, you guys know how it goes, man. It's going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So that fight the start time will be Saturday at 1 p.m., but 9 times out of 10, we will not see the main event until around 5 or 6 in the evening. But that's cool for me. You know, I know it's good for you, Bobby. It's like 3 in the afternoon?
They got plenty of football in the meantime to tide me over.
Oh, shit, yeah. Heck yeah. They got the CFP playoff. Finally, we get 12 teams in the playoff. I can't wait to see that. So this is a great weekend for sports, even though there's no UFC, ladies and gentlemen. I think we did the darn thing, man. Bobby, man, what you got going on for this weekend, bro? Besides watching so many sports.
That's about it. Looking forward, to that coming up. And yeah, I mean, it's just great that after we have the UFC take us to the end of the year with a great card, you get like the boxing match. I mean, to me, the last fight is pretty much the current fight of the year for boxing. So it'd be really interested to see, if they're able to match that or what. But I definitely think Fury needs to take the center early. And maybe try to work that body and from the very beginning. So, I'll be locked in and can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man, I think I'm going to be the same way. And I'm sure my guy, Nick Barkins, will lock himself in as well. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, although this is the last show for the calendar year 2024, man, we'll be back in about 2 weeks' time. We're going to do a nice little recap of 2024. We're going to have our highs, our lows. The fighter of the year, lady fighter of the year, male fighter of the year, knockout of the year, Poetan, Joaquin Buckley, so on and so forth. And then, of course, we want to make sure that everybody knows here at Headkicks and Haymakers, we're wishing you a happy, blessed, and safe holiday season, no matter which holiday it is. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Chinese New Year, is it? Not. But anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. So, hey, bro, for my guy, Bobby Blunts, it's your boy, K-Witt, and for our big homie, Nick Barkins, we out. Peace.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.